Hello and welcome to Threefold Herbal Healing. I'm Lior Sadeh, and today I wanted to speak to you about the way our microbiome is improving or supporting our immune system. But before I start, just a quick reminder that this is the second video in a series of 4 videos. So if you didn't watch yet the first video, I highly suggest that you stop now, go watch the first one, and come back here. Okay, so let's dive in the microbiome and your immune system. It was 1875 when Louis Pasteur, while researching alcohol fermentation, discovered those little creatures we now call bacteria. Pasteur is now considered to be the father of immunology, deduced that bacteria will compete with us over resources, food mainly, and by stealing our nutrient from the food we eat, it will deplete us. And that will harm or threaten our well-being, growth, and development. Following Pasteur discovery, there were decades of research into bacteria, and a lot of antibiotics and vaccinations were developed. At the time, the future of the health of the human race was looking very promising. The mindset was that we found the enemy, and if we just find a solution or a pharmaceutical or something to fight those enemies, we will live disease-free. Well, you and I know that that's not what really happened. So let's dive in. In 1681, Anthony van Leeuwenhoek, that's a Dutch name that I'm probably not pronouncing as it should be said, examined his stool under a microscope and found more than 1,000 living animals in his stool. 2 years later, he could observe animals living on his teeth, so on plaque that he took away from his teeth. Now, despite his observation, the research for human microbiome didn't take off, which brought the question about what are we not researching right now because it doesn't have enough PR. I personally find it intriguing, fascinating that we have a host of bacteria, virus, and fungi in and on our body that the immune system doesn't attack. I'm thinking that when I was in high school, I was taught that there are bacteria and viruses that come to the body and that there is the immune system that its job is to attack them. And now I find out that we have bacteria and viruses that are not being attacked. So what's really is going on? So the microbiome actually developed with human being from the dawn of time, like really from the primordial swamp where all living being came from. As we crawled out, not yet as human being, but as some kind of being that slowly developed to the human beings that we are today, in all this development, in all that journey, bacteria, fungi, and viruses were in us and on us constantly. And we developed a symbiotic relationship with them. So it's a relationship that benefit them and benefit us. We feed them, they protect us. They give us so much more, as this series will teach you. Research shows that the strains, the number of strains, the number of bacteria that you host in your body, and when I say bacteria, I mean viruses and fungi too, can predict how resilient your immune system is and how healthy you are. So how does microbiome improve your immune resiliency? What do they actually do? The first thing they do is the first thing they did already is they kind of bought all the real estate in your body. And they settle everywhere, and they are not very welcoming to guests, pathogens. They don't want new strains to come in. So when new strains come in, they push them away, and they compete with them on nutrient. So they don't allow, they kind of say to them, no room in this hotel, go away. They don't allow them to settle in your body. That's the first thing they do. The second thing they do is they promote more mucus production. Now, your mucus is part of the immune system. It's the first frontier of your immune system. It's a physical barrier that made out of gooey stuff, your mucus, gooey stuff, that physically trap pathogens and remove them, eliminate them from the body, when you blow your nose or you cough, or sometimes you poop mucus outside of you. The other way is that mucus is a host for a lot of immune cells. And those immune cells are actually trained and communicate with the microbiome. So when a pathogen enters your body, the microbiome can alert those immune cells to its presence and calls the immune cells to the site to actually get rid of it. Another way is that the microbiome lives on the food that you can digest. It feeds on fiber and resistant starch that we humans cannot break down. And when the microbiome breaks those compounds down, it creates a byproduct that is called short-chain fatty acids. And short-chain fatty acids are anti-inflammatory. And it's important because inflammation, as much as it is a healing process of the body, chronic inflammation can damage body tissue. So by producing anti-inflammatory compounds, the microbiome kind of calm the body a little bit and kind of suspend inflammation. The adaptive immune system contains both pro-inflammatory and anti-inflammatory cells. Inflammation, although a healing mechanism, can really get out of hand and damage tissue. We got a reminder of that when people with COVID-19 had cytokine storms. What are cytokine storms? And people actually passed away because of those storms. Is when the immune system is producing so many immune cells that those immune cells actually start to shut down organs, and people just passed away because of that. So having anti-inflammatory cells in the body, those cells are called T regulatory cells because they regulate inflammation, can help subdue and keep inflammation in check. And apparently the microbiome trigger or stimulate the production of those cells. And why is that? Because the microbiome don't want our body to be in full-on inflammation, because then it might attack the microbiome. So it wants the body to be more kind of, okay, don't attack me. I can calm down all your forces, so I will be safe. That's what the microbiome say to himself. You might want to think about the microbiome as your second immune system. It keeps your immune system on its toe. Your immune system cannot go totally into relax because there's foreign proteins inside the body that could in any moment trigger an immune response. But on the other hand, the microbiome tame those, the instinct to fight back. So there is this balance between total relax and total attack that the microbiome keep the immune system in. In this book, The Epidemic of Absence, I kind of call my microbiome program The Epidemic of Absence after this book, because the book is brilliant. It's beautifully written, and it left me at home, like, oh my God, that could happen. But I will sum it up for you. Author Moises Velasquez Manoff documents the reduction in infectious disease and the steep rise in autoimmune diseases and in allergy in places where culture moved from frequent exposure to soil, to farming, to living off the land, and with farm animals, when people move from that kind of lifestyle into a city, into a town, into modern Western lifestyle. He explained how hygiene awareness and the practices of hygiene help reduce mortality due to infectious diseases. But at the same time, less exposure to microbes and viruses lead to a lazy immune system that is not on its toes. Modern medicine throws the baby with the bathwater by pushing vaccination for non-life-threatening diseases, or antibiotics for conditions like viral infections that does not require antibiotic. We overprescribe antibiotic for conditions that the body can overcome with rest and hydration. And many times the body overcome disease not because of antibiotic, but in spite of antibiotic. Research shows that the number and variety of my microbiome reduce the closer you get to modern Western culture, especially big cities. So if, for example, you observe the microbiome of a person who lives in the rainforest in Brazil, and then you compare it to the microbiome of a person who farms in Ecuador, and then you compare it to the microbiome of a person who farms in Alabama, and compare that to a person who lives in a small town, maybe in the Appalachian. And then you take that and compare to a person who lives in New York City, you will see a decline that is pretty drastic between the different sites. Overall, the closer you get to clean, modern life, Western culture, the smaller the amount, the diversity, the strengths that you have in your body, the weaker your immune system will be. The seeds for science as we know it today were planted in the 17th and 18th centuries. At the time, the mindset of human being was that nature was a gift given to us, human, by God, for us to benefit, tame, control, use, exploit. But maybe it is a good time for us to see ourselves as equal participant in the miracle that is nature. During the last century, we distracted the outside environment, the ecosystem of the earth. The distraction is unbelievable, but at the same time, we didn't pay attention. We did the same damage to the ecosystem inside us. And we are dependent, our well-being, our health, our physical health. Later on this month, I will show you that it's also our mental health. But we are totally dependent on the well-being, on the thriving of the ecosystem outside us, in nature, and in our own ecosystem in us, the microbiome. So let me sum it all up for you so you have it with an easy access in the tip of your finger. The microbiome increases your immune resilience by preventing pathogen from settling down in your tissue, producing short-chain fatty acids that are anti-inflammatory and reduce the chances of cytokine storms, stimulating the production of anti-inflammatory immune cells, T-regulatory, that play an important role in autoimmune disease. Increasing mucus production, that's very important for all immune functions, and keeping your immune system well trained on her toes. Any holistic approach to allergies or autoimmune condition or inflammation needs to take into account the role of microbiome in modulating your immune system. Feeding the microbiome, supporting the microbiome needs to be an essential part of any care plan for people who are struggling with autoimmune disease and allergies. Are you one of those people that struggle with either autoimmune, allergies, any immune condition? I can help. Now that I probably convinced you how it's important to balance your microbiome, all you need to do is find the step to do it, right? So the Epidemic of Absence is my 6 to 8 week workshop that teaches you 4 steps, very practical, to reboot your microbiome so you can balance your immune system. So I will drop under link for the registration for the program, and I invite you to join. Other than that, I would love to hear from you with any questions or any idea about what I said today. And if you want topics that you're interested of me covering, please let me know. Have a good week. See you next week. I think, yeah, next week is important: microbiome, digestion, and metabolism. Bye.